Hiya and welcome to your YouTube channel, The Sahil Show. Today, once more, I have come up with an amazing topic of the Vice President nominee of a Democratic Party, Tim Walz. Who is he? Is he the right choice to be chosen for the BP of US? We will discuss later. Guys, the content which I'm going to provide, if you really like it, then don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and do some comment stuff. And one more thing, don't skip this video because watch till the end. The reason is very simple: little learning and half knowledge is very dangerous. So consume the whole information. And if you will end up by liking this video, I would say do not forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Do not forget to share it with your friends and loved ones. I will be very glad to see when you will start engaging yourself with me. Tim Walz has officially been nominated as the vice president candidate for the US election 2024. This announcement has sent ripples through the political landscape, making waves among supporters and opponents alike. Walz, the current governor of Minnesota, has a strong background in public service. A former high school teacher, an Army National Guard veteran, he brings a unique perspective to the ticket. His commitment to education and veterans issues has resonated with many voters across the nation. As Vice President Walz aims to focus on key issues like healthcare, climate change, and economic recovery, his track record in Minnesota showcases his ability to lead during challenging times, especially during the pandemic. He has known for his pragmatic approach and bipartisan efforts to get things done. Critics have raised questions about his experience on the national stage, but his supporters believe he can bridge the divide in Washington. With a reputation for collaboration and a strong connection to grassroots movements, Walsh is poised to energize the base. As the election approaches, all eyes will be on Walsh, and he complements the presidential nominee. Voters are eager to see if his visions aligns with their hopes for the future or not. On August 6th, what we saw exactly in Philadelphia, 10,000 people gather to just really witness the amazing lecture or nomination of Kamala Harris, an announcement for the BP of US 2024 election. And what we saw exactly when she selected Tim Walz, as her, you can say, vice president nominee. So Kamala Harris now officially ratified as the party's presidential nominee, and Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota, her new vice presidential running mate, not since 1968, has one of America's top major parties switched out presumptive presidential nominee months before an election. By the way, it has never happened in the US election history ever till now that somebody has switched its BP or somebody has selected its BP just few months before the election, and now we can see this time it's been done by Kamala Harris herself. So the rally which was being held in Philadelphia, the purpose was to boast Tim Harris in front of others, and Miss Harris selected him after a you can say moderately fraught sweepstakes in which progressives campaigned to prevent the possible choice of Pennsylvania governor Josh Shapiro. So first, she decided to choose Joe Shapiro, who is a Jewish and who has voiced support for Israel and school choices. The left relied around Mr. Walz and Mr. Harris went their way. Republicans accused her of capitulating to her party's base, but many Democrats rejoiced, as was evident Mr. Walz, raucous debate. Mr. Walz vaulted to prominence in recent weeks as an energetic advocate for Miss Harris on television. It was his critique of Republicans. These guys are just weird. That's become a popular Democratic attack line for the Republicans. Mr. Walsh personal history also, contrast with Mr. Harris' California upbringing. So actually, he was born in rural Nebraska in 1964, 6 months before Miss Harris. So he is just 10 years older than, 6 months older than, Miss Harris. And he always says, every single person who went to that school where he went, most of them were, his colleague, and Kamala Harris was one of them. By the way, like Kamala Harris joined politics, but he decided to join social study, and he studied social studies for decades, served in the National Guard for 24 years. By the way, he was in National Guard for 24 years, and then he retired as a, like you can say, then he retired as a command sergeant major in 2005. He is a committed hunter, and his early years in Congress, he was given a rating by the National Rifle Association. Mr. Harris, like Miss Harris seemed particularly impressed by Mr. Walz's long ago side job as a Friday Night Lights American football coach at his high school. So, by the way, his career is full of mysteries. His career is full of achievements, and as I said, like he was in National Guard for 24 years, and then in 2005 he was retired as the command sergeant major from the like that National Service Guard, and he was the coach of the men football team of Friday Night Lights. So Miss Harris describes her running mate's life story, which is like appealingly free of law school of Wall Street fortune hunting, as a you can say testament to her campaign Biden-esque focus on the middle class. At the rally, you can say Miss Harris made no mention of foreign policy or immigration, and her forays into democratic policy largely stuck to familiar ground apart from relentless attack on Donald Trump. Miss Harris is still incipient. Campaign remains long on autobiography and short on an agenda for governing. This is likely to continue through the Made for TV Democratic Convention in Chicago later this month, and perhaps all the way to the election in November. If strong polling numbers allow the campaign to get away with it, then the Trump campaign, like Gringley, an obvious strategy is to paint Miss Harris and Mr. Walz as dangerous liberals. At a competing rally in Philadelphia on the 6th, J.D. Vance, Mr. Trump's running mate, called Mr. Walz one of the most far-left ridiculous in the entire United States government. The rhetoric was over the top, but it raises the question of what sort of Democrat Mr. Walz has actually been during his Minnesota career, and therefore what his selection says about Miss Harris is still a loosey branch of liberalism. The answer is nuanced. Mr. Walz first won office in 2006, just immediately after getting retirement from National Guard service. And when he joined politics in 2006, he became, like the governor of Minnesota, a congressman, first of all in Minnesota, the first district, a heavily rural area of Republicans. So, by the way, like he could not believe that he would win that election. And even he himself said in 2006 that there is no way in hell I am going to win this election. And Mr. Walz got 53% vote at that time in 2006. During 12 years in Congress, he won Mark's massive contest against other gun-toting members and voted with moderates in his party caucus, which helped him hold on to his district even as other rural Democrats lost theirs. It is as Minnesota's governor since his initial election in 2018 that Mr. Walz has developed an unambiguously progressive record. When he was re-elected in 2022, his party won the state house and senate. Mr. Walz used the opportunity of his de facto increased spending on public schools, introduce free school meals, create a system of paid family leave, legalize marijuana, expand background checks for gun buyers, and straighten abortion rights. He does not apologize for his record. Don't ever shy away from our progressive values, he told attendees on a fundraising call in late July, adding that one person's socialism is another person's nevertheless. Heartland and soul, by the way. So that folkly like formulation reflects a long traditions of progressive and populist politics in the upper Midwest. Mr. Walz is the best understood as part of the same like heartland liberal, a strain that produced other national candidates, including two vice presidents from Minnesota who failed in their bids win the White House. First of all, that was Herbert Humphrey in 1968 and Walter Mondale, if I'm not wrong, in 1984, whom Ronald Reagan defeated in a landslide. Mr. Wall's greatest vulnerability to attack advertising down the campaign straight may arise from the riots that hit Minneapolis in 2022. So, following the murder of George Floyd, Mr. Walz waited a full day to respond to a call from the city's mayor to send in the National Guard, which he hesitated. A mob set a police station on fire. Mr. Walz argued that the National Guard could not be deployed that quickly. That was the very stupid stuff that he exactly said. So, do you remember when Mr. Like that black person, the brother who got killed, and George Floyd, his name was, and that actually killing, like what spread the international protest with a proper hashtag Black Lives Matter, and when that guy killed by the police, and he took approximately 1 day to respond and deploy the National Guard service, and even the writers who like set a police station on fire, and then he responded in very harsh way, and he said like the National Guard cannot be deployed in this much early period of time. So that was something. So Mr. Walz has in fact constantly been a thorn in the side of the different causes and a strong proponent of policing. In 2021, the Minneapolis City Council proposed to genuinely defend the Minneapolis police, determined and replace it with a new Department of Public Safety. When the idea came to a public ballot, Mr. Walz opposed it. Last year, he proposed making more than $500 million available to hire police. So first of all, he doesn't have a good connections with Minneapolis police. As I said, like in 2021, when there was a proposal to switch the police with another service or just literally deploy some new officers in Minneapolis, and he was the one who opposed it. So I believe like whether it's Tim Walz and Kamala Harris, I'm not supporting Republicans quite blindly. I have nothing to do with it because neither I live in America nor I like support any political party, or I have got anything personal against anybody, any candidate who are running for anything in the US election 2024. But what I believe, like like Kamala Harris would be far easier competitor for like you can say Donald Trump compared to Joe Biden if the election will hold. Like you can say peacefully. If the election will hold impartially, then there is no doubt that like Donald Trump may lead the election, because look at the poll what it is saying. So Tim Walz, and by the way, like even if you talk about the vice presidential post in the US, it doesn't play a huge role, and he will come forward when Kamala Harris will be ill and when she will not able to continue the office. Then you will able to see like vice president has to do something, but beforehand, we I don't think so. Like vice president really plays an important role here. So according to me, what I believe, which is very clear, I think like people who are just the big supporter of Kamala Harris, they can support Kamala Harris, by the way, because she has already made a statement like she will come up with and straighten law of illegal migration, or especially people who are getting into the US, and she will welcome every individual who is going to come into the US in a right way. Second stuff, like she will do something about the emotions which has been pending for the long time in the US history. Third thing, like she will be make sure that people are not getting judged in the name of their color or skin color or anything. So Kamala Harris has a proper plan to come into US politics, and she has made an amazing plan to just come up with an amazing, you can say, victory. That's what I can say so far. So guys, like US politics is very complicated to be understood, and to be honest with you, because it takes a lot of time to make you understand everything what is going on like here in the US. But the fact which we need to understand, the only one thing, Kamala Harris versus Donald Trump, this battle is going to be between two people, just only Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. We don't need to think about JD Vance, or we don't need to think about especially about like Tim Walz, because I believe like the vice president does play an important role in US politics, and vice president is just for the namesake. If in case something happen to the president, then he or she may take over the post to continue the office and stopping it or refraining it like from being dissolved. That's what exactly vice president does. So I hope you have understood this topic quite well. Again, I am saying, if you have ended up liking this content which I have made on the US elections once more, then I would urge you to like my video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and share with your friends. This is Salso, where we talk about current affairs, we talk about philosophical talks, we talk sometimes book reviews, and I also guide people how to improve, like their communication skills. If you end up liking this content, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Now I will take your leave. Thank you very much for stopping by.